Hi everybody, this is Jimmy with nCLOSE, and today we're going to do some troubleshooting with your iPad Mini Magtek iDynamo6 using the C3PO circuit or in a mobile solution, and it has an external charging port. So what we're going to do right now is we want to understand if this device is not taking a charge, what do we do? The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure your charger says nCLOSE. You also want to make sure your cable says nCLOSE. The reason that we do this is that all of our products are spec'd to work correctly, and some chargers, if they're under 20 watts, will not work with our tablet. If you have a multi-port charger and you have multiple devices in, the power may be split, and that also will not charge our system. You do need a minimum of 20 watts to charge. So the first thing you would do is you would go ahead and you would plug the device in, and you would look for some indicator of charging. You might have to press the home button if there is no charge. And then at the same time, you can actually look in here in order to see the light. You have a reader light and you can see it right down there, whether it's green. Green indicates it's charging. Blue indicates you need to update the firmware or it's doing something. So you need a green light in order for this to work. So let's just say I plugged this in and it did not work. One thing that you can do if you do not have a multimeter, the reason I say a multimeter is if you simply plug this into your charger, you then plug your cable into the multimeter and you plug this into your charger. This can actually show you if it's charging and what the charge is. So we can see right now that this is not charging. It is actually flashing. So this is a perfect one. So we would go ahead and unplug this. We would make sure there's no obstructions in there and no obstructions in this port. We will then go ahead and we will plug this in. Upon plugging it in, we will see if the multimeter works or if it doesn't. So you can see that this multimeter is flashing. What we would do is we would try to unplug from the wall the cable and the charger so we could re-plug that in and all the connections to make sure that we have a stable connection. So right now, let's see, did that fix anything? No, it's still going on and off. I would also switch the sides and see if that does anything. No. So right now, we've used a multimeter. We've checked if this fixes anything. I would take this also and now plug it into a secondary device and confirm, is this charging a secondary device? Because if not, we have isolated it to these specific components. Now, let's go a step further and let's tear this system apart so that we can identify what is not working in it. So as we take this apart, we're actually going to flip it over. Going to first unscrew the module. So once I get this apart, I want to start testing specific connections in order to isolate them and determine if that's the specific cause. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of take the reader out of here, and I have my 2-meter cable. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect it from this extension port. And now I'm going to plug directly into here and see if that solves my problem. So right now I've got the tablet charging. I have the reader charging, but it is going on and off. So as it's doing that, I would actually go ahead and check my connections in here. Possibly during the configuration, these have been strained. And because of that, it doesn't allow it to seat properly. Now you want to make sure your H goes to your tablet, your P goes to your reader, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug into my P. Now I'm going to plug into my H. And I'm going to go ahead and plug this back in just to see if that has eliminated the failure. So right now I go ahead and I plug this in. Now I can see I have a stable connection. I have 14.95 volts and 1.47 amp. So what I've just done is isolated the failure to this particular component. Now we can test that again. We will go ahead and we will plug this in because possibly the connection was not correct or was strained upon putting it in. So now we've plugged that in. we can now see 14.95, 14.96, and 1.5 amp. So what we can identify from that particular setup is that during the build, I might have strained the cables, might have pressured them, but ultimately the system failed after it was configured due to some stress on the cables. So you might want to work on adjusting the cables as you put them in, cable management, and then once the system's together, go ahead and retest with the multimeter to make sure everything is passing correctly. Thank you. This is Jimmy with nCLOSE.